Hey everybody, it's hwsteele. Today is August 25th, 2023, and in this video I'm going to talk about the post that I made on the community tab of my YouTube channel, I guess I should say, about the crude oil future October 2023 contract 5-minute chart and the 12:35 point in time where I was expecting a change in trend. So I'm going to talk about that briefly and talk a little bit about price chart reading, I guess we could call it, or looking at the price chart and having a realistic expectation of what the change in trend that you're forecasting is actually going to be able to accomplish. After I'm done talking about that, I'm going to go ahead and go through the comments of the previous video that was uploaded, and then I have two announcements also at the end of the video. So the first thing to understand is that a trend can move up, it can move down, and it can, like right here, move sideways. So you have three possible trends, which means you have 6 possible different outcomes when you're changing trend. You could, if you're in a downtrend, change to an uptrend or to a sideways trend. If you're in an uptrend, you can change to a downtrend or to a sideways trend. And if you're in a sideways trend, you could change to an uptrend or a downtrend. Now, traditionally, when you change trend and you've stopped a sideways move and then you start a directional move that's down or up, it's considered a breakout. That's what they call it. But it's really a change in trend from a sideways move to just a move down or a move up. And in this case, it was a move down. So when you're forecasting changes in trend, and I just used the oil chart, the 5-minute oil chart yesterday as the example, you have to keep in mind that you can be looking for not just 2 different possibilities, but actually 6 different possibilities. So in other words, we would all love to be able to have a change in trend that looked like this, where the market was moving down nice and strong. It stopped, change in trend might have been forecasted there, and then it just moves away from it. Nice and clean. That's what we all would hope for every single change in trend to be, but the reality is it doesn't work like that. A lot of the changes in trend that happen are from sideways moves into some form of a breakout. So keeping that in mind, when you have a change in trend point in time on the chart, and if you have a decent method that does a good job of forecasting changes in trend, in other words, it's accurate at like 75 or 80% or better, then you need to pay attention to the price action before that change in trend is indicated. And right here we see in the crude oil futures market, on the 5-minute chart anyway, that when this change in trend happened, we moved from a sideways trend or a consolidation, we could call it a channel if we wanted to a downtrend. Now the reality is the downtrend started inside of the sideways move. So in other words, the actual downtrend started before the end of the sideways move. And that's what you're going to find with sideways trends, is that, like for instance, we moved up here and the end of this trend up was actually the beginning of the sideways move. So in other words, when we're looking at sideways trends, they overlap the uptrend or downtrend that enters it and the uptrend or downtrend that exits it. So those up and down trends are part of the sideways move. So that's something to keep in mind. And now because of that, what tends to happen is when you get a breakout, typically the candle that breaks out, or the bar, it is approximately the halfway point right there. So in other words, the price action, since the actual top of this trend down started way up here, but you're getting the break out of the sideways move right there at this change in trend point, this point right here tends to be the halfway point in price and typically time. It's not always exactly precise, but it's a good, decent rule of thumb. So in other words, we had these 2 candles before the breakout, then we had 3 candles after the breakout. So that was fairly decently balanced, and the price, you can just tell by looking at it that approximately this price move right here is what happened below this breakout candle right there. So when you're in a sideways trend and you're about to hit a change in trend point in time that you forecasted, then you need to be looking for a breakout, because that's, if you have a decent forecasting method, that's the most likely outcome to happen. Now, one thing to keep in mind on the crude oil futures is that on the 5-minute chart anyway, the trends tend to last about between 20 minutes and 40 minutes for the most part. So essentially about 30 minutes on average, unless there's something special going on. So you're only going to get maybe half an hour of a move. Typically, obviously, there are points where that's where you exceed that. But that usually happens in lower volatility points of time during the day. Once the actual U.S. market opens up, typically the volatility increases and you get consolidations and changes in trends and moves up and moves down that are somewhere in that 20 to 40 minute time frame usually. So when we're looking on a 5-minute chart and making a forecast for change in trend on a 5-minute chart, we're probably not going to hit a big move like this. There will be times where we will, where the little bitty changes in trends that we're forecasting on a 5-minute chart, for instance, line up with maybe a change in trend on a 30-minute chart or an hour chart, something like that. And then you're going to have the bigger moves because of that. But the point I'm making is, don't expect to swing for the fences every single time you're making a forecast. The reality is you just need to pay attention to what the market's doing when the forecasted point in time shows up and act accordingly. The point of that post yesterday was to give forewarning of our breakout change in trend here so that I could record this video and talk about it today. So with that done, let's go ahead and look at the comments from the last video I uploaded, which was Gann's odd and even squares chart. I'm just going to very quickly go through these. I'm not really going to read them out loud, just respond to them. Let's see. Thank you, Henry. The video is very much appreciated. I'm sorry to hear about the loss in the family. First off, let me just go ahead and say that I do appreciate everyone's condolences for the loss in the family. It is definitely hard, but we're working through it. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Regarding the video, I wonder why the even square chart gets so little attention. That's a good question. And if you actually go through Gann's courses and look at as much as you can get of his charts that are in the public domain now, there's quite a few examples of his using the even squares chart. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think the odd square chart is more important than the even square chart, but it is definitely, without question, more popular. And there's all, it would just be conjecture as to why that is. What angles on the square chart are important? The same ones that are on the odd squares chart. It's the same, what Gann says. The 90-degree angles, the 120-degree angles, the 45-degree angles. And of course, on the hexagon chart, the 60-degree angles are very important also. And here we have talking about the possibility of increasing precision based on a more mathematical, in other words, basically using pure mathematics as opposed to a graphical calculator. And you might actually be able to get better mathematics, better accuracy. The possibility is definitely there, but there's something that just cannot be replaced with looking at the physical chart in front of you, meaning like the odds squares chart or the even square chart or the hexagon chart, something like that. All of those things are, when you visually are able to see them instead of just doing the math, it improves things. Just like if you actually physically create your own price chart. So nice to see this explained correctly. Thank you. Yes, it was Ganzilla that I was using. It's a free program, Ganzilla Pro. You can just do a search for it, obviously. And always, always run everything you download from the internet through a virus protection program or two. Let's see, make a law of vibration. That's a big ask right there. I doubt that anyone would ever really show that openly. I don't think that that's a smart thing to do, to be completely honest with you. There's a lot of reasons for that, but thank you very much. I am doing, my whole family, we're doing better now, and we're able to focus more on good memories now instead of having the pain of going through the death and then having to deal with the funeral and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we are doing better, thank you. Now, on to the two announcements. The first announcement is simply that I'm not going to be responding to comments very much anymore. I'll still every once in a while respond to a comment or two, but I'm not going to go through and answer or respond to comments like I had been. I just don't feel like it, frankly. The second announcement is pretty soon you're going to see a membership button come up on the channel where you can join for $15 a month, and all the members will get, occasionally I'll post a price level or a time point that I'm looking at for a change in trend on basically the S&P 500. Every once in a while there'll be some other markets, but that's what I look at for the most part, is the S&P 500. So I'm not going to explain methodologies or anything like that. I'm just going to put up price levels and or points in time that I'm paying attention to. It is, of course, and in no way, shape, or form any kind of trading advice. There will also be some odds and ends special things that show up for the members only, but I'm not going to announce that until they actually show up for the members. They're going to be surprises, in other words. So with all that said and out of the way, hopefully you found the video useful in some form or fashion, and I will talk to you in the next video.